Well, the A's lost to the Seattle Mariners once again. Things are not looking great for their playoff hopes. We're going to talk about that, and then we're going to make ourselves feel a little bit better talking about a couple of nice surprises from this season and looking forward to 2022. Just a smidge. So that's what we got coming up for you guys today. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On A's, your daily Oakland A's podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, the A's lost. Oh, hey, also, how's it going, A's fans? Welcome to episode 353 of the Locked On A's podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, noted baseball fan Jason Burke, and on today's episode, the A's lost again, and their playoff hopes are really starting to dwindle right now. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Paul Blackburn and some of the tough luck that he received. He pitched okay, but tough luck. And then we're going to be talking about Sam Moll, who, what's that about? He's been really good. I'm going to uplift people's spirits by talking about ace reliever Sam Moll. And also, we're talking about Matt Olson and just doing great things. And then also, we're going to bring it back down a little bit with just talking about Mark Canha's struggle since he came back from the injured list in July. So that's what we got coming up for you guys today. But before we get into any of that, this episode is being brought to you by Spotify Green Room. Download the app and join me on Thursday at game time to get in on the action. Also, make sure to follow this podcast wherever you like to hear podcasts. Follow us on our new YouTube channel. We're up to 77 subscribers, you guys. Let's break 100. Let's aim for 100, and then we'll aim for like 10,000, and we'll just have no gap in between. Just 100 and then 10,000. That's where we're headed. So make sure to subscribe. Also, thank you to people who have written nice comments in the description, or in the comment section, I guess is what it would be called, of the YouTube channel. I really appreciate that. Love interacting with everybody. If you guys follow us on social media at Locked On A's on Twitter and Instagram, you know that I like to interact with people. You can also interact with me directly at @ByJasonB on Twitter and in the Spotify Green Room app, the aforementioned Spotify Green Room app. And if you guys have any questions for us, you guys can also reach me over there, lockedonathletics@gmail.com. So that's all that. Let's get into just another loss for the Oakland A's. 5-2. They lost this one 5-2. They scored a run on Matt Olson's home run. That was fun. They had a 1-0 lead, and then there was a runner on third in the top of the second inning, and Paul Blackburn was like, hey, there's a runner on first too, and I got this guy at the plate down to 2 strikes. How about I keep throwing over to first base? And then he kind of threw one in the dirt, sort of. It got away from Olson, like just a touch. And Jake Bauers sprinted home, and they tied the game. And from that moment on, I was like, that's probably not a good sign for how this game's going to go. And then it didn't go well. They scored 3 more off of Paul Blackburn, and it was basically a leadoff triple by Jared Kelenic. And that was like, ooh, okay. And then he struck out the next 2 batters. And you're like, he might get out of this. And I got very excited. And then he walked a batter, and then he gave up another triple. So that scored 2 runs, and they scored 1 more. So, not a great performance overall. And the ball that the second triple was hit very deep left center off the wall, I think. And some people were saying that Mark Canha probably should have caught that. Maybe. We've seen him make those catches before, and he'll probably say he should have caught that ball, but it is a very low probability catch. He's not like the fleetest of foot, and he's got a bum hip. He missed time just a couple of months ago, with a hip that was hurting because Texas plays on turf. And so, do I expect him to make that play in 2021? Like right now? No, not necessarily, but it would have been really nice to give that game 1-1. Then maybe the A's win a 2-1 game instead, because that would have been a win. A win would have been nice, but didn't happen. Paul Blackburn ended up just going 4 innings pitched, gave up 6 hits, 4 runs total, 3 earned. One of those was unearned because of that slightly errant throw to first base. He walked 1, struck out 5. He was okay. With slightly better defense, he probably would have lasted, slightly longer and also not given up any runs. So not a terrible terrible outing by Paul Blackburn, and that's kind of just Paul Blackburn outing. You're like, that was fine, I guess. The A's offense should have sure scored a whole bunch more runs, but they didn't. But yeah, so that wasn't fun. It was not a fun game. The A's playoff hopes are severely dwindling as we speak. And you know what? We're gonna skip ahead. We're gonna go West Watch now. Let's talk about that. Everybody won. The A's lost. That's West Watch. Everybody won. The A's lost. So now the A's are 4.5 back of the first wild card spot. That's the Boston Red Sox. They've won 6 straight. They're not losing games, which stinks. And they got a series against the New York Yankees coming up over the weekend. Who do you root for in that one? Because the Yankees are also ahead of the A's. So, and also the A's would have to beat Houston and make it matter. So, we'll see. The Toronto Blue Jays game to game on the A's. They are now 3 games up. They walked 11 batters in this game. And the Tampa Bay Rays, their opponent, scored 2 runs. So it's not just the A's that can't score when they're just given opportunities. The Rays do it too. So that's encouraging, I suppose. And then you got the New York Yankees. They are 2.5 up on the A's and Seattle, who are now tied because Seattle beat the A's. But they are still half a game back of the Toronto Blue Jays. They beat the Rangers and whatever. They were going to sweep the Rangers the whole time. It's what do they do the other 3 series that are on their plate that is going to matter for the Yankees and their playoff hopes. So that's the West Watch. Everything's bad right now, and it doesn't look like things are going to be getting better. Chris Bassitt is going to be starting on Thursday against the Mariners, so that is a good thing. That is nice. And I said before, he provides an emotional boost. Do they need to see him on the mound for that boost to matter? Maybe. Let's see how Thursday goes, I guess. But let's hope that they win Tuesday or Wednesday as well, and then they can split the series, and then we'll see what happens from there. That's the hope right now. But I said yesterday on the podcast that the loss was a missed opportunity because they lost and Toronto lost. It was a missed opportunity to make up a game. And today they lost ground to everybody because everybody won their games. And the writing just may be on the wall for the 2021 season, the A's 2021 season, just because they're not doing it. They haven't done it all season. They haven't clicked on all cylinders all season. Their bullpen this series so far in 2 games has given up 1 run. 1 run. And what is it now? 5 and 4, 9 innings. They've got 1 run, and they've lost both games because starting pitching just hasn't gone very deep, and their offense hasn't done much. So they're just not able to click on all cylinders. And what if they were able to play a full game of Oakland A's baseball, the way that they are constructed, they would be a very, very good team. They'd be one very good team. Not very, very. I'm not gonna throw an extra very on them. That's too much. too much. But they'd be a decent team, and they would actually have a chance. But it seems like one part of the A's offense or pitching or relief pitching or defense, one of them is always working, and the other 3 are just pulling from behind and just keeping them down, and it hasn't been fun. And just after watching this team all season, maybe it's a good thing that they're not going to be making the playoffs because they have not been able to click on all cylinders for the entire season. If they had, that'd be great. And my thought was, if they, were going to make the playoffs, then they would have to click at some point, and then maybe they could make some damage or do some damage in the postseason. That's been my hope the entire season. But if they squeak into the postseason, is that really what we want? Do we want them to just go get creamed in Boston and, a 1-game playoff? Not necessarily. I think I've had enough playoff losses for a lifetime, just enough heartbreak. And so maybe it's better that they're letting us down easily over the course of an entire summer. But this does make me mad at John Fisher because you could point to Simeon, you could point to Liam Hendricks, you could point to those 2 guys not being re-signed and being like, hey, if we had those 2 guys, this team right now would not be having these issues. They could be just as good as they had been the last few years when they won 97 games or were on pace to win 97 games. And yeah, that's true. They could have also, gotten a bunch of other guys that also kind of cost money. Maybe they could have made not better acquisitions, because the guys that they got at the trade deadline were actually pretty good. But maybe they could have not given away Jesus Luzardo, who's been fine, for Starling Marte. And if they would have just paid some of Starling Marte's contract, maybe things could be better if John Fisher just spent the money. So John Fisher, spend the money please, in some way to help this team and to make everybody just like the A's again, because it just feels like the doldrums have been going all season. It's like, oh, they might move. Dum, dum, dum. It's been terrible. It's not been a fun season of A's baseball, and it's not the product on the field. It's just everything surrounding the season. The 13-game win streak was cool, but other than that, it's been a rough season, both on and off the field. And you can kind of see that with the way the guys are playing right now. They don't have that extra gear right now. They are gassed. And I think that's part of why some of the pitching woes have been creeping up, is because we had the shortened 2020 season last year. And it's, that's why Caprillian's probably been struggling, is my guess. I'm sure that we'll hear a little bit more about that after the season comes to a conclusion. But yeah, it just has not been a fun season, and so maybe it's better that we don't get our hearts broken in October. They will be playing October baseball, though. That final series in Houston is in October, so we will see the A's play October baseball for a fourth straight season. So that'll be fun. Coming up on the show, though, I am talking about what Matt Olson did on Tuesday night that put him in his own record book. He set a career high in home runs. That's what I'm going to be talking about. So stay locked in with Locked On A's, and I will be right back. This episode is being brought to you by Spotify Green Room. Green Room is the first social audio platform made for sports fans. The app is free to download, and once you're in, you can talk with me, other fans, athletes, and insiders in real time about your favorite team or sport. I will be hosting rooms for Locked On A's once a week, and yes, you can finally join in on the conversation you listen to here every day. Green Room is the perfect place to start or join conversations about baseball, and you'll find fans just like you in Green Room for watch parties, debates, post-game breakdowns, and of course, reacting to big news or rumors. Be sure to join me this week on Thursday at Game Time. We'll be talking about whatever you guys want to talk about. I will be your therapist on Thursday, and we could talk about the A's. We could talk about cartoons. Whatever you want to talk about, we will be talking about on Thursday at Game Time. We don't necessarily have to talk about the parlay in the field, although Chris Bassitt will be starting, so that will be something to at least start the conversation on the right foot. So that'll be fun. So go download the free Green Room app now, currently available on all iOS devices. Be sure to create a profile, link your Twitter, and join the MLB group for the latest league updates. Follow me at @ByJasonB to be notified when my room goes live. I know you won't want to miss it. I'm planning to be live this week on Thursday at Game Time, talking about Chris Bassitt and cartoons. I can't wait to hear everybody's thoughts on the A's. I'll see you guys there. Green Room, changing the way we talk sports. Also, we're back and better than ever. All eyes are on the gridiron as teams are back on to start another football season. As always, BetOnline is your number one spot for all pro and college football action this season. With a new updated site and interface, even more odds, props, and contests, BetOnline continues to be the number one source for anything football. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive a 100% welcome bonus. That's double your initial deposit just for signing up. Don't forget to use the promo code NFL100. And the way that you remember the promo code along with the site betonline.ag, it's NFL. The thing that they're the best at is NFL and football, and then 100, which is the welcome bonus that you're getting. So NFL 100 combined, NFL 100, betonline.ag. That's how you do it. From football, basketball, boxing, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. And that's why everybody says that BetOnline are your online sportsbook experts. They do fantastic work over there. I like perusing the website. I'm not much of a gambler, but I like looking at lines and thinking I know what's going on. I really do. And every night, before the season started, I put money on the Toronto Blue Jays and to win the division. They didn't do that, but I'm not looking stupid now. They are that second wild card by half a game. Oh, smart guy over here. Boom. I have no idea if that's actually going to make the podcast, but I think it was fun. I like to do things that are fun for the YouTube audience. So there you go. All right, but let's get back into it. Welcome back to the Locked On A's podcast. If you guys are enjoying the show, make sure to hit subscribe on YouTube and wherever you like to hear podcasts. Or I guess it's an either or. You can do both if you want. I would appreciate both. Leave us a rating or review if you like the podcast. 5 stars, please. And also follow us on social media at Locked On A's on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at @ByJasonB on Twitter and in the Spotify Green Room app. If you guys have any questions, please send those to lockedonathletics@gmail.com. Also, the Locked On A's Twitter account has been sitting at 1,090 followers for like a week now. I'd really appreciate just an extra 10 people to go follow that account. That would be very, very much appreciated because 1090 is just a weird number and I don't like it. Go follow the account. But let's talk about Matty O. Where did I write down his stats? They're over here. There we go. So he hit a home run against Marco Gonzalez. He set like 1,000 home runs against Marco Gonzalez this season. That's a lie, as you'll see here in a second, because he set a career high with 37 home runs. Oh, I guess this season he hit one more. And so now he has a career high of 37 and good for him. That's impressive because I thought that 36 to 40 is probably where his peak is. And he's at 37 right now. Maybe he gets a couple more. Maybe he gets up to 40. And that's a really good bet, especially because he's hitting like 275 still. He's still hitting fairly well. But the thing that I brought up the first month of the season, and I said, this is a nice welcome change for Matt Olson, it's the K rate. The K rate is still down. It's because of the little red box that Ox Coffee wrote about in The Athletic when she was still writing about the A's for The Athletic. And his K rate is still just 16.1%. It was 31% in 2020. It's down 15%. He's nearly halved his K rate. He's been doing very good in that regard. His walk rate is slightly lower than his, last year, I guess, but it's still at 12.6%. That's still really, really good. And he's just a new guy at the plate right now. And can he hit home runs with the guys on base? No. But can he do pretty much anything else? Yes, he can. Guys on base still a kryptonite. I don't know why, but it feels like all of his home runs are solo shots, but that's 37 RBIs any way that you look at it. So good job right there. And according to WRC Plus, which is basically, it accounts for ballparks and all that stuff. And it's on average, with 100 being average, how good is this player above or below? And so you would look at Elvis Andrus in like April and he was like 20. So he was 80% below league average. He was not great. But Matt Olson on this entire season has a 147 WRC Plus, which is really, really good. There's not a lot of guys that are above him. Usually like Mike Trout in his Mike Trout days would have like a 180 to 210 somewhere in there. So he's not quite Mike Trout, but he is the 7th best hitter in baseball, according to WRC Plus this season. Here's the list of guys that are ahead of him. It's Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who's probably going to finish second to the one other guy on this list, but it's only because he doesn't throw baseballs too, for on the mound at least. So you got Vlad Jr., Bryce Harper, who's going to probably win the NL MVP, Juan Soto, great young hitter, Fernando Tatis, same deal with him, and he's missed time, but he's so electric. I love watching Fernando Tatis. Then you got Jesse Winker, who's also been pretty good, and he's been bandied about as a very solid hitter for a long time. Then you got Shohei Ohtani. Those are the 6 guys that are ahead of Matt Olson as the better hitters in baseball. You didn't hear Aaron Judge. You didn't hear Mookie Betts. You didn't hear Cody Bellinger because he's been hurt. You didn't hear a lot of guys that you're used to hearing. It's Matt Olson and that group right there. Those are the best hitters in baseball, and Matt Olson doesn't get talked about. We're not going to talk about that, but he does not get talked about, and that's a dang shame. But so I just wanted to say kudos to Matt Olson. I wanted to talk about some nice things on today's podcast, and that is one thing that I wanted to bring up because I think that that's amazing, and I don't know how long he's going to be on the team, but I like having him here. He's sure a lot of fun, so enjoy him while you can. Yeah, we'll get into that during the offseason. Once the season's over, we'll have a good talking to about what's going on here. But I also want to talk a little bit about Mark Canha because I noticed that his batting average was not great. And I was like, hey, I wonder what his splits are like since he came back from his hip injury that knocked him out at the end of June. He came back at the end of July, so he was out for about a month. How's he been doing since then? So I looked it up. Before his injury, he was hitting 255 with a 375 on base percentage. That's a Mark Canha. Maybe a little bit high on the batting average, but that's a Mark Canha season right there. 375. Yeah, I like that. Since coming back from his injury, that's 56 games. He's hitting 205 with a 343 on base. And again, he gets hit by a lot of pitches. So it's not like he's working walks as much. All of my memories of Mark Canha at bats are him getting hit by pitches, mostly because it happens all the time, but like 25 times this season. But that's the Mark Canha memory, I think, is just him getting hit by pitches. So that's why his on base is usually fairly high. So 343 since he's gotten back. His slugging percentage is down by 100 points. So he's not, I don't think that he's got his hips working just yet. He's not really tapping into that power. He's only got 6 home runs in those 56 games, which he's not a huge home run hitter anyway. He had, I think he has 11 home runs on the season. So it's not like he was hitting a bunch before, but you'd like to see a little bit more out of Mark Canha, I think. And in looking at that, I was looking at all of the A's since, in that brief period of time. And in that same stretch of when Mark Canha has been hitting 205 since he came back from injury, Seth Brown has actually arguably been a better hitter, and he's probably a better defender too, because he can, roam a little bit further. But I think that he's arguably been a better hitter, and he's hitting 235, which, is fine. It's not great, but it's fine. It's a lot better than 205. I will say that. He's only got a 295 on base, so that knocks him down a little bit. But his slugging percentage, because he hits home runs, is 520. That is a lot. So if you're looking at it from an OPS standpoint, which is a metric that people use to judge people without watching them on a daily basis, you got a 681 OPS for Mark Canha. Meanwhile, Seth Brown is above league average at an 815, and that's because he's got home runs mostly. And he's got 1 more home run than Mark Canha. He's got 7 to Mark Canha's 6, I believe. So he had 6. And he's done that in 140 fewer plate appearances. And Seth Brown's game is mostly built around home runs. That's where his value is. So I'm not trying to say that, oh, look at this, he's so much better because of this one thing that he does better than Mark Canha. But he only has 8 fewer runs too in those 140 fewer plate appearances. And if you just extrapolate that and, roughly double the plate appearances that Seth Brown was given, if he still hits the same number of home runs, he's knocking himself in 7 more times. And then he just has to get 1 more, just get on base 1 time. And then he matches Mark Canha's run total. And that has been one of the things that Mark Canha has been good at over the course of his career. He had that 375 on base. Getting on base and scoring was a big thing for him. And, he's got a 343 on base. You would think that he would be brought around to score a little bit more, but Seth Brown could knock himself in. So that's why I'm saying maybe he's actually a better player for the last couple of months with Mark Canha coming off of injury. The last couple of months, maybe Seth Brown has actually been better. That's just something that I wanted to say. I looked at some numbers and I was like, maybe that's a hot take. I don't know. Not coming with hot take. Well, I got another hot take for you guys. It's about Sam Moll, and I'll be talking about that here in just a minute. So stay locked in with Locked On A's, and I will be right back. Today's episode is brought to you guys by Built Bar. And now that we have a visual medium, I am going to bring out a Built Bar because this one is absolutely delicious. It is a cookie dough chunk. I don't know if you guys can see that because I switched browsers. This one is absolutely delicious. I had one for lunch. It's fantastic. It's a little salty, which I love, and it tastes like cookie dough. It's got big chunks in it. It's amazing. All of their bars are fantastic, but this is easily in my top 3. Yeah. I've told you guys about Cherry Barcia. I've told you guys about the coconut brownie chunk. This one is my other one. I don't know how to rank them anymore. My mind is a jumble, but these are all absolutely delicious bars. They're protein bars. And so you're getting 17 to 18 grams of protein, calories ranging from 130 to 180. This one has 150, I believe. There's only 4 or 5 grams of sugar. There's only 4 or 5 grams of net carbs, and they're all amazing flavors. They're all tasty. They're all healthy, and they're all available at built.com. And when you use the promo code LOCK15, you will get 15% off of your order. Use promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at built.com. Does this sound familiar? You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows. You're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbor's best friends log in for the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all of that entertainment that you love without the hassle, and a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings all of your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and TV shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes and no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part, there's no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That is directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package. Whew, I get winded. I talk at a pace. I feel like I have to do that for the ad reads too. And then I get winded. Favorite part of the episode, just having a sip of water in between. I love doing these episodes too. And thank you to the person who commented on YouTube who said, I really love your channel. I hope you make more content, during the off season. We will be doing more content during the off season. Last year, I believe that right around the winter meetings, we switched, like right after the winter meetings, we went to 3 days a week. But up until that point, we're still 5 days a week daily, basically. So we're keeping the same schedule for the next couple of months. And then we'll figure it out in December. And then once spring training, ramps back up, then we go back to 5 days. So there's only a couple of months out of the year where we're, doing slightly less than 5 days a week. But I like doing this, and I hope you guys like doing it too. Leave us a nice comment. Leave us a like too. I don't know where there. I don't know. I'm still new to this. So wherever I pointed, wherever the thumbs up button is, hit that one. I would appreciate that. But anyways, welcome back to the Locked On A's podcast. If you guys are enjoying the show, make sure to hit subscribe on YouTube or wherever you like to hear podcasts. Follow us on social media at Locked On A's on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at @JasonB on Twitter and in the Spotify Green Room app. If you guys have any questions, please send those to lockedonathletics@gmail.com. So in this series against the Seattle Mariners, Sam Moll has pitched 3 innings. He hasn't allowed a run. He's looked fairly good. And that got me to thinking, hey, what's Sam Moll up to? And before I was like, hey, it's Sam Moll. It was a cash acquisition from the Arizona Diamondbacks in July. Didn't really think much of it. He pitched a little bit because they needed relievers. And then he was, then he wasn't on the team for all of August. And then he came back up and he hasn't done much. He's had 6 appearances, but in those, 7 2/3 innings? Is that what I wrote down? I believe so. In 13, no. Doesn't matter. He's pitched like 7 2/3 innings, and he's got a 0 ERA. He's been fantastic. And I don't know what the A's saw in him necessarily. Maybe they saw his spin rate, which I will talk about here in a second, but he's had 6 appearances for the A's. It is 7 2/3. I found out where I wrote that. He's been fairly good. Last night, he went 2 innings, gave up a hit. He hit a batter, and he struck out 3. Has not allowed a run in 7 2/3. He's had 6 appearances with the A's, 3 in July, 3 in September, has not allowed a run in any of those. And I find that impressive because he's a 29-year-old reliever who's kind of trying to find himself. And he's had 6 appearances spread out over 3 different months, and he has not allowed a run. And it's not like he's been pitching in the majors the entire time. The last time he was in the majors was with the A's in 2017. So it's not like he's had a bunch of experience. He's just been pitching in the minors, and he's like, I'll go against, Kyle Seager and all these guys now. This is great. And in Arizona, in AAA, he had a 5.82 ERA with a 157 whip. So not great numbers. And that was in 21 2/3 innings pitched. I don't know what the A's necessarily saw in him. Maybe a spin rate. I'll get to that here in one sec. With the A's in AAA, they fixed him immediately, and he went to a 2.63 ERA with a 124 whip, much more manageable, that 124 whip, and that is in 13 2/3 innings pitched. In the majors, again, only 7 2/3 innings pitched, but he has a 104 whip, and if that's the kind of a reliever that he's going to be, even if he went up to like a 1-1 or like a 1-1-5, 115, if you will. I would also take those whips from Sam Moll, I think. That's a good reliever. That's a solid reliever. Is he going to be your ace reliever? No, but Can he be an effective reliever with something in the 1-1, 1-5, 115 range? Yes, I think he can be, especially with his strikeout rate being, good. He's got 7 strikeouts in total, so it's slightly under 1 an inning, but it's been good, and his walk rate isn't super high or anything, so he hasn't been great. And he's not arbitration eligible until for 2 more seasons. So I think 2024 is when he can become arbitration eligible. So after the 2023 season, so this is kind of an audition time for him. I know that he's kind of been used in mop-up roles, or, we don't know what we got, but go get him. And he's been surprising me every time that he's come into the game. He's been effective. And maybe this is an audition. Maybe he's going to be part of the A's bullpen for next season, which could be a decent bullpen if they bring back Jake Diekman and Andrew Chafin. Diekman has a club option for $4 million. Chafin has a mutual option for $5.25. That would be a decent amount of money for John Fisher to spend and all that stuff. But if you got those 2 guys, then all of a sudden you got Trevino, Chafin, Diekman, Sam Moll, Michael Feliz, who could be another guy in the Sam Moll mold. I'm intrigued by Michael Feliz. I don't know if he's going to be the guy that the A's want him to be, but he could be decent. And then you got Diolis Guerra as well, who could be the new version of Yusmeiro Petit. He's been fairly decent this season. And that is 6 guys right there that make up an okay bullpen. Maybe you throw in an actual closer, and you got 7 guys that I kind of trust. And then maybe you get another one and make it 8. And maybe you go with AJ Puck. Maybe you give him a chance over there as well. They've got some guys that they can use and make good with. But back to Sam Moll here. His spin rate on his slider on Tuesday, the average spin rate was 2,884 revolutions per minute, or 2884 if you're just looking at it, different ways. He topped out at 2985, and his average would put him in the top 10. For his average spin rate from Tuesday would put him in the top 10. He is actually number 4 in spin rate on his slider for the entire season, with a minimum of 50 sliders thrown. So he's got a really, really high spin rate, and that's probably why the A's went after him. His slider has been a very, very effective pitch, and that top out spin rate right there, that 2985, that would put him in the top 2 according to everybody else's average, and they've thrown a lot more. But it's a very high spin rate, is what I'm saying, and that is something that has become in vogue since the Astros started swooping up guys with all that high spin rate. Once Colin McHugh went to the Astros, like 2013, 2014, somewhere in there, that's when spin rate became a thing, and people started being like, spin rates, that's something. And now the A's are doing it with Sam Moll, and he's been pretty effective. His sinker, he throws 2 pitches. He used to throw 4. Now he throws 2. He's gotten rid of his changeup and his fastball. He throws sinker and slider now. His sinker comes in at 94.1 miles per hour on average. It has a 222 batting average against. It has a 240 expected batting average. And his slider is 84.1 miles per hour. It has a 100 batting average against and a 140 expected batting average. That's a really good pitch. And like I said yesterday with Michael Feliz, that slider is effective. And if you can build something off of the slider and use it more, then maybe you could get some real good innings out of somebody like Sam Moll, potentially like Michael Feliz. Maybe these are guys that could be in their bullpen. Oh yeah, I already threw Feliz in the bullpen, so never mind. But that's what they saw, I believe, is that spin rate on his slider, and they're having him throw it a little bit more, and he's been doing okay. On the season, his slider has not been used more than 50%, but on Tuesday night, it was used slightly more than his sinker. So they're obviously saying, let that thing eat, as the kids would say, or sports talk people would say. So Sam Moll, could he be effective? I don't know, but I think that this is kind of his audition for to give him a leg up it going into spring training. We don't know what's going to happen this offseason, if they're going to sell everybody off, and maybe that would open up a spot, or if they're going to be competitive and they're like, hey, Sam Moll, you're our new Adam Kolarek this season. Go get it. Go get a spot. And maybe that's the role that they go with. But if you got Diekman, Chafin, and Moll, that'd be intriguing. Get 3 lefties going in the bullpen. Yeah, I'm here for it. And also, Sam Moll is, again, not arbitration eligible for another 2 seasons, so he's making the major league minimum if he's on the team. And that's got to be music to John Fitcher's ears. So I thought that was worth taking note of because he's been good in his very, very limited sample size. He has been good. The slider has been why he's been good. I mean, both pitches have been fine, but the slider is really what's doing the work for him right now. And maybe he's got an actual home here in Oakland for the 2022 season. I guess we'll find out. So that's all that I got for you guys today. Tomorrow, I'm going to be recording my Ken Rosenthal roast about that article that came out, a few days ago, and just going over why I don't know. His reasoning didn't make sense. I'm going to be going over his article saying that the Mets could just take Bob Melvin and Billy Beane and if they want them, basically. And I'm going to go line by line and rip it apart. It's going to be a lot of fun. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe so that you don't miss that episode. And I'm doing it for tomorrow's episode because the A's play a night game and then they have a day game. So if I record an episode, then it's outdated by 12:30. And I don't know if you guys all listen to the podcast by then. So it's mostly so that it's more evergreen content, I guess, for you guys. But that's all that I got for you guys today. So until next time, go outdoors and celebrate good times, Oakland, and I will talk at you tomorrow.